So did you just recently pick up a Sony a6000 with a kit lens, or maybe you've had a Sony a6000 for a few months or even a year, and you've been thinking about a new lens to pick up? Well, I'm going to cover 3 different prime lenses around the 30-35 millimeter range you may want to consider. Stay tuned to find out more about it.
If you don't know me already, I go by That One Camera Guy. I do tutorials, guides, and reviews on Sony mirrorless equipment and gear. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on the latest content. And smash that like button because it always helps out my channel. Thanks, guys.
So first of all, this video is really for beginners. It's not for advanced users because the stuff I'm covering has to do with exposure settings and helping people understand why it is you want to get one lens over the other. We're going to be taking a look at 3 of them in this one. So why is this starting off in the first place? Well, based on the title, you know we're going to talk about a 30 millimeter lens and the 35 millimeter lens. And you're going to be doing some comparisons to the actual kit lens that comes with your camera. Now here's the thing. When you zoom in your lens at, let's see here, when you zoom in your lens at 30 millimeters, between 30 and 35, your camera goes to f5. That's a lot of light you lost by going all the way to f5. Now one of the lenses we're going to take a look at goes to f2.8, f1.8, and f1.4. And you might be questioning like, hey, what's the reason why you would want to buy a prime lens? What's the motivation for it? You might be thinking, well, I'll get better low light performance, I'll get better shallow depth of field or more control over my depth of field to get that nice creamy bokeh look. So we're going to look at that in this video and kind of figure out if you actually even need to buy another lens. Maybe you actually don't. You can probably get away with using this kit lens. But let's go ahead and take a look at those lenses now. So unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot of options for third-party lenses when it comes to Sony's APS-C. It's an area they're really lacking in, and hopefully they can build up more to it. But point being, right now, there's about 3 choices. I could be missing 1 or 2 out there that you can consider for APS-C. The first one and most cost-effective is this one here. It is a 30 millimeter f2.8 lens. It's going to give you about 1 to 2/3 stop improvement over the kit lens that I was just showing you earlier. This goes for about $169. I haven't tested this a whole lot, but it's a good step up as a prime lens to add to your kit. The next one from Sigma is this one here. It's the 30 f1.4. Absolutely love this lens for its focal length range, as well as its massive aperture at f1.4. Lets a lot of light in, and you're able to do some really nice shallow depth of field photographs as long as you balance out your distance and everything. And finally, we have the 35 f1.8 OSS lens, and I completely forgot the price on this. This is $339, by the way. And then here, the OSS lens here, the 35 f1.8, it's the most expensive. I think it's at $449. So this one is the most expensive one, and there's some reasons as to why they can be priced at that point, but you may want to decide on which one makes the most sense for you. So I want to go ahead and cover the exposure settings and why you might find the advantage going over to an f2.8 lens. Now, and by the way, please ignore the device that's on here. It's an Atomos Ninja 5. I'm using it to screen record what I'm doing here. So in my room right now, the exposure is fine. I have all my lights on. I'm going to go ahead and set my shutter speed to 1/50th of a second, just a standard shutter speed there to get a decent brightness. And then I'm going to go ahead and adjust my ISO to get a proper exposure here. And my camera is telling me ISO 800 f5, shutter speed of 1/50th is appropriate for what I'm doing here. I'll just take a test photo really quick here. Let's set it for 1 photograph. There we go. There's my photo. We'll take a look. Exposure looks fine. No problem whatsoever. So in a pretty nicely lit room, you can get some decent photographs using your kit lens. And I'm going to say now, your kit lens can take you very far. Make sure you check out my video over here on how to get most out of it by using it in manual mode. What I'm going to do now is kill some of the lights to put us in a more challenging environment and see where the f2.8, f1.8, and even f1.4 lenses show their strength. Okay, so now I've gone ahead and killed some lights in my room. I have like a key light on me. I still have my kit lens attached on here, the 16 to 50. I've got this little setup here. I've got like a little stand, the mic stand with a little sticky note on there just as an example. The room is fairly dark now compared to what we were at before, maybe 3 to 4 stops difference or so roughly. But I'm going to have my camera set up, my same settings. I'm going to take a photograph of the object you can see on the screen here. I'm going to take a photograph and then pull it up. And notice it's really underexposed. So I'm going to go ahead and correct for that exposure by cranking up my ISO. So I'm going to go ahead and crank up ISO. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're at ISO 6400. It still doesn't look properly exposed. It looks like we have to be at ISO 8000 or so. Take a photograph, and there we go. So at ISO 8000, we have a decently exposed photograph in this particular example. If we zoom in, you're going to notice that there's quite a significant amount of grain in the photograph. Now, we've covered this before in my previous video, but because this lens has stabilization, I can lower my shutter speed down to compensate for my ISO because my subject isn't moving. So let's say, for example, I'm going to drop my shutter speed down 1, 2, 3, drop my ISO by 1, 2, 3, so I compensated for one stop. I'll take a photograph. That still looks pretty good. It still looks very sharp. Let me drop the shutter speed again. 1, 2, 3. This is probably about the limit that I can do it at. 1, 2, 3, and still get a stable shot. It's hard to take a photograph when you have a monitor on. There you go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Let me zoom in. Okay. Photo looks okay. It's like the sharpness is still somewhat acceptable for me, but I was able, with this lens, with the kit lens, go down to 1/13 of a second, ISO 2000, and still get a pretty decent photograph with minimal noise. If we go back to the previous images here, let's see, this is ISO 4000, ISO 8000. Look at the difference in the noise that you're getting off of the photograph. So with some good technique, still subjects, lower light environment, drop the shutter speed, use stabilization, you can get some good photos with your kit lens. But let's see what the magic happens when we start using some of our other lens choices. Okay, so now I've got the f2.8 Sigma lens attached onto here, and automatically my aperture dropped down. Let's go ahead and set to f5 just so that we have it set up. I'm going to start off at a shutter speed of 1/50th of a second here. Let's take a look. Exposure is pretty bad. Let's go ahead and crank up my ISO. So we're just restabilizing our settings that we did when we first started. All right, so now we're back to the original settings from our kit lens. So with the f2.8 lens, when I drop my aperture down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can drop it by 5 clicks. So 1 2/3 stop. Let me drop my ISO by 1 2/3 stops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm at ISO 2500. I'm gonna hold it steady. Take a photograph. Now, what I want you to pay attention to is you're going to notice that because the kit lens has stabilization, I think we were able to get the shutter speed fairly low and our ISO low, but you didn't have f2.8, you had f5. So let's make a comparison here. So let's take a look. This is f2.8, f5, f2.8, f5. Notice that there's a little bit better separation in the background. It looks a little more pleasing in the example, and that's what you're going to be able to get with an f2.8 lens. It's not much, but it's a little bit better. Let's jump to, this is the image you're looking at right now is from the actual kit lens. It doesn't look too bad. And then we go back to the f2.8. That's where we're at right now. So we could play around, we can drop the shutter speed lower, but there's no stabilization on this, so I'm going to start getting a blurry photo. So if you actually take a look, if we go back a little bit, the kit lens, I was able to get down to ISO 2000. So technically, you're going to get less grain in your photos with the kit lens in this environment versus this one here. Now you can obviously use better technique. So now what I'm going to do is jump to the Sigma f1.4 and see what that does for me. Okay, so now I have the Sigma 1.4. We can definitely drop our aperture down and adjust for our ISO. So let's take a look here. I'm going to drop my aperture down to 1.4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's 2 stops, 6 clicks. Let's drop our ISO down by 6 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm at ISO 640. Let's take a photo here. Hold my breath and breathe out. There we go. Okay, so if we take a look at the photograph, exposure looks good. And let's see here. Let's go and compare it to f2.8. If you look at from f1.4 to f2.8, look at the background. It's not the same framing, but just take a look. That background looks a lot creamier at f1.4. Maybe that's the look that you want to go for. If we go back to f5, there's f1.4. Such a big difference from the kit lens to the Sigma. So imagine doing some portraits or just some slight environmental portraits. Your photos are going to have that nice separation from it. So that's really nice. And let's see our current settings right now. 640 ISO, f1.4, shutter speed 1/50th of a second, which isn't too bad at all. Now let's go ahead and throw in the Sony. What's the whole Sony's deal? Let's find out right now. Okay, so I have the Sony lens attached. It's at f1.8. It means I lost 2/3 stops of light. I'm going to bump up my ISO to compensate for that. Let's go ahead and take a photograph. I'm trying to get the same framing. So here's f1.8, here's 1.4, 1.8, 1.4. Obviously, I stepped back a little bit, but the difference is going to be marginal, and I only think only the keenest photographers and viewers will be able to tell the difference. So it actually still looks pretty good. I still will give the edge to the Sigma, obviously, the 1.4. So now let's figure this out. This lens costs more, right? But what's the benefit? Now, because it has stabilization, I can lower my shutter speed down. So let's do this. I'm going to drop my shutter speed down by 1 stop. 1, 2, 3. Drop my ISO by three clicks. 1, 2, 3. And let's take a photograph. It's kind of hard to balance this out. Looks sharp. An example. My limit is about 1/13 of a second. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay, so all right, here we go. Okay, so sharpness is okay. It's acceptable at that point. So we are at ISO 250, f1.8. Let's see where we first started. All right, so here we go. Here's the kit lens. We're at 1/50th of a second, ISO 8000. We jumped down to 1/13th of a second. We kept it at ISO 2000. So we were able to bring our ISO down to 2000 with the kit lens at f5. When we brought in the f2.8 lens, we still couldn't get a lower ISO. It was at 2500 because of our shutter speed. And then when we brought in the Sigma f1.4, we were able to bring our ISO down to 640, so our images were cleaner, and we got a really nice bokeh effect in the background. And then finally, we brought in the Sony camera, and we were able to bring down our ISO down to 2/50th of a second, from 640 down to 2/50th. So let's go ahead and wrap this whole video up with a conclusion. Okay, so I know there was a lot of information. It was a lot of information to digest and go over with you, but I wanted to explain it all in terms of exposure and understanding it, if that wasn't clear for you already. So what I want to do is just make a quick conclusion on which lens I recommend. So I have the kit lens here. The kit lens I recommend for everybody. It's a great starting lens if you know how to use your exposure triangle, like you understand how that works. It's a perfect lens to get you by, and it's also pretty decent for video. So if video is important to you, this is a great pairing. You should have it in your bag, especially if you shoot with the A6000. The next one on the list is this one here, the Sigma 30 f2.8. I don't have a lot of video experience with this particular model, but I think from the other models I've used from this particular generation of lenses, their type, video is not as good as I would like it to be. I would highly recommend just using this for photos and not for video. If autofocus is critical to you, this is not recommended. For stills, it looks to be okay for non-moving subjects, so that's the recommendation for this lens. I would, if you can save up the money, consider going for this one instead of the 30 f2.8 lens. It is a little bit more, but on gray market, you might be able to find it cheaper. But this is a really nice lens. The f1.4 gives you that nice out of focus area, good control of your depth of field. Highly recommend this one over the f2.8 if you can budget up to this one. It's a really nice lens. So it's great for low light, and if you have an A6500, you'll have stabilization in the body of your camera. And finally, this one here, the 35 f1.8 OSS, it's the most expensive one. So if you need stabilization, so here's the thing. It's really between this one here and the Sigma the Sigma 31.4, which one you would want to consider getting. You go for the OSS if you do a lot of still subject shooting in low light environments and you need to be able to slow your shutter speed down. This is a good option to go with, especially if you're shooting a lot of low light conditions, maybe street photography, night photography. The 30 is also a really good choice if you're trying to save a little bit of money and the stabilization isn't such a big deal for you in a lot of your photography. You can still get pretty decent ISO. As you saw in the example, I was still able to keep my ISO down. But this one, you can knock it down maybe about 1 to 2 stops lower than you would have if you were using this one here. So that's where I would show the benefits and the strengths between these three lenses. You're going to have to make that decision for yourself, what makes the most sense for you. If you have any more questions, go ahead and post them down in the comments below. I'll try to answer them for you as well. I'll have links for the actual products as well in the comments and descriptions too. That's going to do it for me in this video. Sorry for making it so long and convoluted, but that's my video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and check out my other content. And with that said, I'm your host, That One Camera Guy, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.
I left my heart in California. I let it go deep into the blue. I could be happy in California. I would be